Shot levels in my vocabulary. Rolling with the punches, I'm roll beating and jumping. Dealing with the problems, I got to be coping. Making it fit, and I click just like a Lego. I'll be cash yo, but you can be tackled from the FBI to the CIA. I'm clearing out the path from here to LA. I be from C-Town, kicking the roof down, ripping up the mic and way past sundown.
Visited my mom. My sister was in town. And so I was able to see both my sisters, my mom, my stepdad, my step siblings, and then went back to Atlanta, hopped on a plane and came back here. So a lot of travel over the 3-4 day break, but I was able to see a lot of family and my girlfriend. So it was a good trip.
And as a Georgia guy yourself, what do you think about a guy like Charlie Condon that sort of lit the world on the college baseball world on fire this year?
Charlie I went to a couple practices this fall, and obviously Condon had a great freshman year. But everyone kind of said it was going to be a different year for him this year. Now, obviously, it's hard to do better than what he did his freshman year. But he exceeded those expectations and won the Golden Spikes and had a great year himself. But it was cool to watch him grow just from him playing travel ball at the same place I did and turning himself into a legit prospect. And, now he landed in a good situation with Colorado, and I'm really happy for him. I could not be more stoked for Charlie and his family. And I think he's going to do great things for the game of baseball.
Well, I know Tavin wanted to ask you a couple questions about your time at Georgia, so I'll let him take the reins on this one for a little bit.
Yeah, man. So, just coming out of high school, how'd you kind of land on Georgia, and like what other offers did you kind of have coming out of high school?
So when I was in high school, I grew up a diehard Georgia fan. When I was a kid, one of my best friends, that his whole family was Georgia fans, and at the time, football was a big focus in my area. My dad went to Kentucky, so I grew up a Kentucky fan. And they didn't have a very good football team. So every weekend, I'd be looking around, and Kentucky was 4-8 or 5-7 every year. So it's hard to root for them. My best friend at the time, he was a Georgia fan. So I'd go over there, and Georgia was a way better team. So I just ended up being a Georgia fan. But when I was 15, 2014, I went to visit Georgia for the first time. And I remember going to the stadium. And it was Todd Gurley's junior year, and he had like 300 all-purpose yards, 4 touchdowns. The place was rocking. He returned a kickoff for a touchdown. I mean, the place was insane. Georgia hadn't offered me yet, but I was like, man, I think this is where I want to go to school. Just from being that fan my whole life and going to experience it was really, really cool. So Georgia was probably my number one option the whole time, just in my heart. But I also received offers from Kentucky and Georgia Tech as well.
So I take it you're a big football guy?
Big football fan. Yeah, big football fan.
I don't know if you're into video games. Have you played the new NCAA game yet?
I have, yeah. I've played a little bit of it. I've tried to, because I'm in Akron, I tried to be the head coach at the University of Akron and try to build them up into a dynasty. Just because I'm here, I want to represent the city. The rebuild is going a little slower than I thought, but we'll get there.
Those MAC schools are tough, man. Those MAC schools are tough. I'm doing a Kent State one right now, so I feel you.
Yeah. So it might take a little longer than I thought, but it's fun. It's good. I like the game.
Yeah. So you said just coming out of even college, just did you kind of like have sort of an idea of like what round or teams were interested like going into the draft?
I didn't have a great idea just because I got hurt 2 weeks before the season ended.
Right.
So when I got hurt, obviously I had season-ending injury, and I had to, go under the knife, get Tommy John. And so once that happened, it kind of blurred everything. So any idea that you maybe think you had before, the draft is already unpredictable. But now being a senior and not playing for a full season, so I couldn't have played the rest of 2021 and half of 22. Then it's like, okay, some teams automatically won't even touch you now that you've had Tommy John surgery. Then it's like, okay, now he's a senior. So now even more teams kind of brush you off to the side as a non-priority. So really, I was just at the mercy of everybody else. And thankfully, I had a great meeting with Cleveland. I met with their medical staff and the pitching staff, and they were awesome. I mean, it was a fantastic meeting. And I remember sitting there thinking, like, man, this would be a really, really, really good fit for me. And I hope I land there. And sure enough, on July 12th, my sister's birthday, actually, we're sitting there watching the draft, and I hear my name called in the 4th round, pick 125. And I was really, really excited to be with Cleveland just because of how well a couple of my pre-draft meetings went. It was a real blessing for me to go there because the rehab department, the pitching department has been so helpful in getting me back and more to where I want to be as a player. And I'm forever grateful for this org for helping me get back to myself and, you know, exceeding where I was before. So they've done a really, really good job.
Yeah, and the rehab, I mean, it's obviously worked. You played for 3 teams in 3 years, Lynchburg, Lake County, and obviously Akron this year. What adjustments have you you found helpful as you just continue to rise through the system, and like what's been the biggest jump so far to make?
One of the things is just consistency, trying to find a consistent routine that you can do every day. Because whether you're in Lynchburg, Lake County, or Akron, you're still doing the same thing every day. You're still pitching. You're still throwing in front of a crowd. The only thing that's different is the competition. But if you can control all the things you can control, and there's a lot of variables you can't, but if you try to make it to where you can control as much as you can and keep it the same, I've found that is really helpful just on a day-to-day basis at the field. But really the one thing that I've seen is the hitters in AA are very, they're advanced. I mean, you're going to face guys that are going to be big leaguers probably within the next 2-3 months, that are going to be big leaguers next year. You know, this is the level that I've heard where a lot of guys make those jumps, and you look 2-3 months from now and, oh, wow, that guy's an everyday big leaguer. Or, you know, that guy's now a top prospect. Like, this is the level where, you know, those guys are starting to make names for themselves. So they're going out putting their best foot forward as well. So being able to try to find ways to exploit what they're trying to do into your plan as well is more difficult, just because the talent is better. They're more focused too. So having those meetings with my pitching coach and our catchers, like having those kind of meetings and making sure we're on the same page are really important just because of how good the players are. So you got to really stay on top of your game and your game plan and, you know, just go out and execute it.
And I love that answer. I really do. I want to talk about some of the stuff that you throw, because you got a fastball that can top out at around 95, 96. You got some wicked breaking stuff. Coming into the draft, it was your changeup. That was all the rage. And if someone could rely on the changeup, hey, go ahead and look to draft Ryan Webb. Have you really needed to adjust any of your things, or are you working on a new pitch? Or kind of talk us through your pitching regimen and just what helps you advance your stuff as you've jumped 3 levels in 3 years now.
Yeah. So one of the things that when you come out of the draft, obviously, so I was draft eligible in 2020. I went undrafted. No one picked me. And I had to take a step back in the mirror and take the emotion out of it and be like, okay, where do I need to get better? Because I didn't get drafted for a reason. Where am I not as good at, and how can that help me on the back end? Took a step back, tried to improve my curveball, tried to improve my fastball, my changeup, and my slider, my command. All those were big focuses of mine. So I tweaked my grip with my curveball in college, tweaked my fastball grip, and then my changeup, I just had to change the finger pressure a little bit. And then once I got drafted, that whole year happened. You get to the draft. Now you have so much more information at your disposal to look at and be like, okay, this is really good. You know, this can improve. And one of those things was probably the changeup. The slider was a big one. Just the slider, the movement was good, but maybe the velocity wasn't there. And throughout the years, it's just been trying to get a little bit better throughout the season, just maybe consistency wise, maybe get the movement profile on the fastball a little more consistent, get that command a little better on the curveball, and then the changeup as well. the changeup has always been my best pitch, my best field pitch, my bread and butter. But over the last about month, I have made a grip change with my changeup. That's been the most significant change that I've made, and it's had great results. I really enjoy throwing it. It's been in the zone more. The movement, I think, is a little better. It's a little better suited for the rest of my arsenal. And our coaches and catchers really like it as well. So I think that's a pitch that I'm going to continue throwing, and I'm going to continue to lean on throughout the rest of the season. And then, once the season's over, you take that step back again and look to say, where can I improve again, and what adjustments need to be made and what adjustments don't need to be made. But that's one of the things that I've been focusing on.
Well, I want to take you back a little bit earlier in your answer. You said that you were seeing some great results once you changed that pressure, whatever you changed on your changeup. You struck out a career high 11 batters back on June 30th in 6 innings. How soon after you made that change did that game happen? And was that kind of the moment for you where you realized, like, wow, like this change works? Yeah.
So I threw that Tuesday. So I threw the Tuesday, Sunday that week. And I threw against Altoona, and I kind of struggled through 4 innings. We had a lesser pitch count. Struggled through it. Didn't really have a great outing. And I sat down with my pitching coach, and we were like, okay, we need to figure something out because my changeup just hasn't really been there. Like, you know what? Let's just have a changeup bullpen. So we're going to go to the bullpen, and we're going to throw a bunch of changeups off the mound and see what works. See what feel works. Everything was kind of the same. Nothing was really changing much, and we decided to go with this one grip, threw it. The catcher was like, did you just throw me a screwball? I was like, no, I didn't. And we looked at the slow motion camera and we looked at the TrackMan, and it was like, okay, that's not a bad pitch. Threw it again, same result. And so I'm warming up for my game on Sunday. And I was kind of hesitant to use it just because it's a new pitch. You never really know how that's going to go, especially in a game when, you need to win the game. You're pitching for results. Like, it's really hard to work on things in the game in AA baseball because you're trying to get to the big leagues too. And I went to my catcher and I was like, I think that I'm going to start out throwing my old changeup, and then if we need to pivot, we can. And he's like, no. He's like, I think we go to the new changeup right off the bat. I was like, okay. I'm like, if you're that confident in it, I'm that confident in it. Third pitch of the game. Changeup, new changeup. So it was right out of the gate we started throwing it, and since then I've been throwing it the whole time. It's been the same changeup. I haven't gone back to my old one, and the confidence that Cody Huff, our catcher, had in it really gave me that confidence as well to think, man, if he really likes this pitch and he really thinks that this is going to be a difference maker, then I'm on board with it as well. And since then it's been a really, really good pitch for me.
I know. Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about Cody. So,
yeah, I mean, you guys, Cody Huff, he's just been amazing for you guys beyond the plate. Obviously, Gavin Williams, when he made his rehab appearance, he gave Huff all the praise. Just how big of a role does he play for you guys, just on a day-to-day basis for the pitching staff, and just help you guys out? Not even just him. I mean, Mikael Ramirez too, the Viking behind the plate, and obviously now Joe Donovan. Just how big of a role do those guys play for you?
They're really, really, really good at what they do. They are very in depth, and they know the hitters too. They do tons of research and work on these hitters, so they know where their holes are and how can we exploit them. And they're really good at fitting what we do well into what they don't do well. And that's the whole part of pitching, is not forcing your weakness maybe into their weakness, because sometimes that can I wouldn't say it hurts the pitcher, but it just makes it a little more difficult. They're really good with taking our strengths and putting it into the hitter's weaknesses. And all those guys do so much work. They work so hard. They're so detailed. They're so in depth, and everything that they do is to help us. Like when we do bad, they think that they're doing bad, but really it's us. They do a really, really good job of helping us prepare in-game reads. Their communication in the middle of the game is awesome. They're always talking to us. I really can't say enough good things about our catchers and the work they do, because they really, really do make a difference for our pitching staff. And as a whole, our pitching staff would tell you the same thing. Our coaches and our other pitchers would say how important all three of those guys are to our success as a pitching staff, because they really, really do a good job.
Yeah, you talk about the pitching staff. I mean, Aaron Davenport, Tommy Mays, now Parker Messick, Austin Peterson, and you had Nikhazy earlier. Just everybody in that staff just seems to be on fire lately. And I mean, the entire season. Just how have you guys been able to build off each other and help each other out through the season?
It's great having those guys here just because we are all trying to get to the big leagues. And when you have your good friends that are also trying to get to the big leagues, I want to see them succeed as well. And so we do post-game reports for the starting pitchers. And it's the pitching coach, the catcher, and the pitcher. We always bring in another pitcher that looks at it from an outside perspective. We started doing that this year with our pitching coach, Cody Buchel. And I think that it's really important to where you get that outside perspective on your start, because you can see things from your lens. The catcher sees things from his lens. The pitching coach sees it from his lens. But if you take another starting pitcher, he could see it from a completely different angle that you might not see it from, or he might see things that you're not thinking of in game. So being able to have that other perspective of another really smart, sharp pitcher in that meeting really is beneficial, because it makes you think, okay, if he's seeing this from this angle, why did he see that? Why did he notice that? Why did I not notice that? Did he pick up on a tip that I was giving out in the middle of the game? Did I repeat my pitches in certain counts? Like those kind of things that they're paying attention to as well. They do a really good job of supporting me. I do a really good job of supporting them, because we really want to see each other succeed. We're all really good friends, and we all want everybody to make the big leagues. So having that support of being actual friends and wanting each other to succeed, I think is really important, helping us all get better in that journey to the big leagues.
And I bet it's been helpful that you guys have been through Lynchburg and Lake County together and just have been with each other for 3 years, it seems like.
Yep.
Ryan, last question here from me. It's a very tricky question to answer, but you keep talking about, you're trying to get to the big leagues. Everyone's trying to get to the big leagues, but at the end of the day, this is also still a team. So how do you really battle the individual goals with the team goals?
Obviously, everybody wants to make the big leagues, like you said, but really we're playing for the Akron RubberDucks as well. Like I go into that game each time I pitch, and I'm not pitching for myself. I'm pitching for all 8 guys behind me and winning that game each time, because at the end of the day, the win and loss, it goes by my name. So if I go out and do my job, I'm helping our team win. And if I don't do my job, I'm helping our team lose. Like I'm factoring into that loss that day. So like for me, I'm looking at it like it is my responsibility and it's my job to help our team win today and put my best foot forward, because winning's way more fun than losing. Just because you're in the AA level doesn't mean that you don't care about winning. Like we all care about winning in that locker room, especially us being in first place right now. We're trying to win the second half division. We were there all year in the first half, and we just hit a rut, and we hit a little bit of a slide at the end of the first half, but now we're in first place again. We're playing really good baseball. We're trying to win the second half, because ultimately at the end of the day, you play to win as a team, and we celebrate those wins and we take those losses hard. And I think that having that team-wide approach of we're trying to win, you go out and you play like your hair's on fire and you're trying to win every game, I think it's important. And I think it's good and healthy for a team to want to chase those wins and not just think about what's going on down the road, but being present at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, kind of just piggybacks off the question that, Nate said in your answer, just kind of how hungry is the locker room now after losing that first half playoff spot to Erie, which we kind of had on lock all year?
It was tough just because, you're always going to have slides. You're always going to, get into a little bit of a rut, and ours just came at the wrong time. And it wasn't due to a lack of effort. I mean, we were in every game. We just lost a couple 1-run games at the end of the season that didn't go our way. But everybody wants to win now. Like that's the part of being a competitor. You want to win and you want to help the team win, especially getting to this point. Like nobody wants to go out there and not put their best foot forward. But I think that the confidence now of, the new guys we've had come in, Peterson, Messick, Kafis. Those guys have helped us a ton just from the confidence perspective of coming in, and it's new faces and they're hungry to win as well. And I think that right now we're playing good baseball just from the fact of everyone's hungry, and we do want to win that second half and get to the playoffs, because being in the playoffs is more fun than sitting at home and going home early.
And I'd like to just piggyback off of that with a comment. Like, you talk about the locker room being hungry, and Tavin just pointed out as well, Kafis and Peterson and Messick just won a first half at Lake County, so they know what it's like. And I think that really, again, to your point, helps with the locker room confidence, because they know what it takes. They just did it. Granted, again,
100%.
the single A level, but still translates.
Yeah, you're a part of a winning baseball team, and we were a winning baseball team too. And getting those guys to come in right after that and having that success, it only helps, because they're bringing in that same momentum as well. So when you have guys that are bringing in that kind of momentum and that kind of confidence, that's only going to help a team. Even when we're already as close as we already have a lot of close guys on this team. Bringing in guys that just make it even better, it's only going to help.
You mentioned those guys helping you out. Somebody that has helped the team out like tremendously has been the bullpen this year. How easy is it for, the starters, even if you didn't have the outing that you might want, to lean on the bullpen with guys like, Walters when he was down there, Trey Benton, Bradley Hanner, Lenny Torres has been on absolute fire this year. Just how easy is it to turn to those guys?
It honestly, when you get taken out of the game, it's you obviously don't like getting taken out of the game. Like, getting taken out in the middle of an inning stinks. But when you turn around and you see Lenny Torres, you see Brad Hanner, you see Trey Benton, you see Walters, Eric Zabrowski, Davis Sharp, all those guys. When you see any of those guys jog in, it's like, they got it, because they're going out there and they're doing their job too. And I fully trust that those guys are going out and they're going to get that job done. So it makes it a little easier, I would say, to get taken out in the middle of an inning, knowing that I got those guys behind me. But, obviously I'd like to finish the inning, but those guys have done a really good job of late game shutdown. Any time that the opposing team has any momentum, those guys have been nails this season, just being able to close the door and giving us more wins than not at the end of games.
Yep. Your next start's on Saturday. What's the routine kind of look like before a start?
Routine. I threw a bullpen yesterday. So I had about a 20-pitch bullpen yesterday. I'll get out, do some light catch today, maybe a little bit more aggressive throw tomorrow, and then get ready for that start on Saturday. But not a whole lot changes on a day-to-day basis. It just, some days you're in pants and a uniform, and some days you're not. You try to keep most of that stuff the same band routine, same weight of balls. Just got to make sure you go out, and it's just another day at the office. Your uniform just changes.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's all for me, Ryan. We appreciate you we appreciate you taking your time to come on here. And again, as of recording this, we'll see you on the bump on Saturday.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, no worries.
For sure, man.